I'm joined by my two guests. The first is the chairman of the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, Mr. Richard Alfred. Hello, Mr. Alfred. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning and welcome, and good morning to all your viewership.
Thank you. And alongside him is the Chief Executive Officer of the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, Mr. Deonecio Salazar. Good morning, sir.
Morning and welcome to your viewership as well.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me as we have a conversation this morning focusing on supporting rural development through agribusiness, a focus that is on Tobago's agricultural practices. Let me start with you, Mr. Alfred, by asking you about Tadco. If you could inform the viewership as to the company itself and its primary activities.
Right, so good morning again. So the aim of Tadco, which is the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, is to ensure that the agro-processors and the farmers definitely have a space where they could actually have their products brought to the market at a more international standard as relates to exporting. So at Tadco, we are the only, the largest cold storage facility on the island. We also offer warehousing space. We also offer persons to bring in their products, and if we believe that it is good to be on the market, we can showcase it there. We have a vessel called the Capital of Paradise. It's one of the larger long-line vessels in Trinidad and Tobago. And we definitely, our target species is called yellowfin tuna. Currently, the vessel is out at sea. It's just off of Brazil, just close there, about 200 nautical miles there, doing some fishing. The market that we look at for that is to definitely for the company to earn some foreign exchange. The vessel does pretty well actually, and on average, it just came back into operation last year, June. It was done for approximately just under 5 years. Can't really comment on that part, but it is a very viable option to get the fishermen and them to move away from things like the pirogue fishing and get them more into the long line vessel. And then we would have partnered with a couple of different entities in terms of collaboration as relates to Kariri, Namdefco, and a few other stakeholders as relates to getting the agro-processors and getting their products tested and getting it on the market and the regional market. So that's where we are as relates to Tadco in a summary.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Salazar, how does your company support local communities and promote rural development?
So at Tadco, what we've been doing over the last year and more, we have been reaching out to the different subsectors in the agricultural sector through workshop initiatives. So as the chairman would have indicated, we have strategic collaboration, strategic alliances, and several instances, memorandum of understanding with key stakeholders in the sector. And what we're doing is facilitating a transfer of knowledge to the subsectors within the agriculture sector via these stakeholder collaborations. So in terms of reaching out to communities, so I'll give you an example. We have, Mr. Alfred mentioned about the Capital of Paradise. We have collaborated with the Fisheries Division and provided a workshop as late as December last year that would have helped in developing the sector towards development of the sector in terms of the fishing sector. We've been working with primary producers in terms of farmers. Over the last year, we've had several workshops. We also have embarked on a poultry contract farming initiative, and that has led to a transfer of knowledge both in-house in terms of Tadco's capacity development internally, as well as towards farmers on the island involved in poultry. Mm-hmm. We also have collaborated with, as the chairman would have indicated, Namdefco. And right now we're building that capacity with that arrangement in terms of transferring good agricultural practices, adding to the knowledge base of farmers and primary producers on the island. So at this juncture, in terms of reaching out to communities, we have been not just reaching out to communities, but we're reaching out to farmers and by extension, those communities through these initiatives and working with workshops to help build the capacity on the island.
Mm-hmm. Well, in your opinion, Mr. Salazar, has such partnerships, the example used is NAMDEVCO, but beyond that, the transfer of knowledge of which both yourself and Mr. Alfred has spoken of, do you think this has led to the growth of agricultural industries in Tobago? You use the example of the poultry industry. Has it been success in terms of growth?
We think that we have seen some impact this juncture. It's still early in the stages in terms of we're just about 9 months into the poultry contract farming initiative, for example. And we have already reached capacity as it relates to the ability for us to slaughter the birds in a timely manner. So we are working on developing, and we had already initiated workshops last year into this year on that slaughtering initiative, and we are continuously developing the sector in that capacity. So we're seeing some results. Even with the farmers, we've seen some results in terms of farmers are excited and interested in partnering with us and working towards developing the sector. So we believe that at this juncture, we have made an impact, especially with the agro-processors, because we're looking at, as the chairman would have indicated, good manufacturing practices, HACCP standards, and food safety and food security, right? Those are key initiatives of ours. In terms of developing the food security, because of the cold storage facility we have, as well as the dry storage capacity we have been starting to see some consistency in what we have been doing. And that will now be tracked in terms of data collection so that we can utilize the data analytics as it relates to tracking the development of this sector. Mm-hmm. So 1.5 years, 2 years into Tadco's, well, actually Tadco is just 3 years, but 2 years into its operation already, and we're starting to see some results, and we're hopeful that our initiatives will yield the benefits that we are looking for on the island, which is a consistent, high-quality product out of the island in the context of primary production, which is like root crops, fruits, and vegetables, and the added value products, such as what are produced by the agro-processors on the island. Mm-hmm. As you know, Tobago is very unique for its culinary repertoire, and we perceive that those unique culinary experiences can be honed and possibly exported beyond the shores of Tobago.
Mr. Alfred, the support for smaller businesses and for products, that is something that you mentioned as well. It also ties back in to what Mr. Salazar just mentioned about the quality of products, even in terms of culturally palatable products, the cuisine. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was late last year, there was also the introduction of local flour that is produced in Tobago, such as cassava flour, to the shelves in Tobago. Has there been, since such an introduction, do you believe that there's been a shift towards these local products, away from the more accustomed imported flour products?
Right. So if I can just stymie back to what the CEO mentioned there, right? So just to keep in mind, let me just give you some figures onto the public. So you had mentioned how we are doing stuff for the farmers and what is the benefit. So prior to Tadco, prior to this new board at Tadco, they were involved in a lot of foreign items as relates to the foreign chicken, the chicken nuggets, all these different stuff. And we saw that coming in here, we definitely have to do work as relates to getting the local products on the market here in Tobago and regionally. So the poultry product, right now, Tadco is the largest supplier of local chicken on the market. That is one of our high accomplishments there. Just to give you some more figures, again, 56 billion chicken is consumed every year globally. Trinidad and Tobago consumes close to 43 million chicken every year. Tobago, an average of 230 to 250,000 birds is consumed every month. Within this 5-year plan, the strategic plan, we're definitely going to reach those targets. And through the collaboration with the major stakeholders in Trinidad, who we are very grateful to, they have assisted us. And the farmers now, we would market the chicken for them. It's our chicken. We give them a chicken to mine it through the contracts, and they are paid based on numbers. So it's a numbers game. Let me go to the fishing now. The same yellowfin tuna now, it's exported, yes, but some of the fish come to Tobago, the bycatch, which is the things like the shark, the mahi-mahi, the kingfish, the ocean guard, all these fish would come to Tobago, and persons would make value-added products, things like smoked fish. Yesterday we had, on Saturday, so we had something called Everything Mango. I was able to taste mango fish. And, all of these indigenous things are what we are doing definitely to assist the smaller companies and the persons who are doing the different value-added products. You mentioned the flour. So, we had some rain and some stuff happening last year. So we are there with through contracts again with the farmers who are doing cassava to definitely get the quantity that we want so that we can do things like the cassava flour and all these things. Currently, we do things like the cassava waffle mix, the breadfruit waffle mix, sweet potato waffle mix, plantain pancakes. So all these things are on the market, definitely getting to get the average person a taste into their palates so that when there's a shortage of wheat, which may come upon us, persons will not have a hard time changing over into the alternative.
Well, Mr. Alfred, and thank you for clarifying that. I understand that, but what about the reception from Tobagonians towards these more locally produced products?
Right, so the reception we're getting so far, right now we have oversubscribed. We have a lot of persons coming on. Right now we're in the process of getting their lands prepared through the tractor pool, through a collaboration with the tractor pool to get their lands prepared in terms of plowing and getting the beds bank and rotovate so that they can get the production done. So that's where we are. So it's coming along very good. We have the equipment as relates to making the flour and all this stuff. So everything is working out pretty fine actually. It's just that we have to be mindful of the weather right now. But it's on track, and we have a lot of persons on board.
Well, Dr. Rita Pemberton, she mentioned most recently at a UE Agricultural Forum, historically, Tobago was able to actually produce food for itself and even for Trinidad. And she mentioned that during World War I and during World War II, Tobago was producing food for both islands, supplying food for both islands. But and that's from a historical context. But at this point, Mr. Alfred, is Tobago able to feed itself, or is it now dependent on Trinidad farming for its food?
Right. So let me go back and give you some history there, right? Seeing as how persons are going back quite to World War I. So Tobago, yes, used to be the agricultural basket of Trinidad and Tobago. With the advent of all these developments as relates to now you having estates that were once agricultural converted into commercial buildings and housing and all these things. You have a less land in terms of preparation. I would say that currently, and then you have the fast ferry. So before you had those other boats that used to take 10 and 12 hours, you couldn't have perishable items coming across on the local ferry. But now you have a ferry that takes about 2.5 to 3 hours. So you have a lot of middlemen in terms of going up to Trinidad, buying stuff at a cheaper price and then bringing up. So all that is affecting the growth of the agricultural sector in Tobago. However, due to we are now embarking on the things like greenhouses, the aquaponics and the hydroponics, we are definitely seeing a change and a shift in terms of how persons are actually producing. We definitely have to embrace the technology to definitely get us to see the different yields that we want. We would have impacted on some training as relates to from an agronomist in terms of for the cassavas, in terms of the different types of fertilizer that they must use to definitely bring their yield within a shorter time. So I would say that we are on the path. Currently with the factors of the fast ferry and the availability of the land in terms of proper development of these same said lands, because you have a lot of hilly lands and slopes and stuff like that, which will require a bit more work to get these land prepared. But I would say we have embraced technology, and I am seeing a shift. I am a registered farmer. with a company. So I am seeing a change actually in terms of agricultural produce from Tobago.
Is that speaking from a farmer's perspective or from the chairman of Tadco's perspective?
I'm speaking from a farmer perspective. So let me give you some more example, right? You have a lot of rain that is going to be coming very soon, right? So things that are cash crops, if you want to call them cash crops, the cucumbers, the tomatoes, sweet pepper, flavor and pepper, all these things are, most of the farmers that I know are actually preparing for them when these things happen, so that you will have a constant market on the of these same set items on the market. We are, in Trinidad, you have a lot of mono farming, persons doing one crop in a very large scale, whereas in Tobago, you have slightly of everything together. So it's definitely working with the farmers in terms of getting them to do a schedule in terms of their crops and getting that done properly. So, yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Salazar, the final question actually goes to you, sir. I mean, everyone could do with more money in terms of the support that is necessary to achieve the goals and even to actually reduce the issues as it relates to farming and agribusiness as experienced in Tobago. And both you and Mr. Alfred highlighted some of those issues this morning. Is there a need for greater support from central government, or is it that it's there, it's working? Because NAMDEVCO's partnership was mentioned, but central government in terms of funding, for example, is the support there?
Actually, I would have preferred the chairman to answer that question, but seeing that it's posed to me, what I would say is that Tobago on its own has been working diligently towards development of the sector, and through our stakeholder collaborations, we have collaborated with the ADB, the venture capital, the business development unit here in Tobago, and we are astutely working with the farmers to help them build capacity on our side in terms of the development and providing the knowledge they need to be successful at their projects, whether it be agro-processors, primary producers as it relates to farmers, or others. But in terms of access to funding, there are grants as well that we have. So again, to the workshops that we have held in 2022, those persons who have attended have been working astutely and getting access to those funding required through the initiatives that we have put. So Tadco in itself as a development entity has been ensuring that its stakeholders, more so the primary producers, the agro-processors, have been able to access the funding required for their development. Because we are not a funding agency. So, but as it relates to the THA and the support from the THA, Tadco has been able to get that through the chairman and the board. They have done their part, and we as a development company, we are ensuring that the farmers, the agro-processors, and those other stakeholders in the sector are receiving the support they require financially. So I want to go back to the poultry contract farming initiative.
Mr. Salazar, I must apologize. We are actually over time. And I do apologize. I'm just going to give Mr. Alfred 30 seconds. I know he said you would prefer if he answered the question. I'm going to give him 30 seconds to give his input on that particular question. Mr. Alfred, very quickly.
Yes, brilliant. So we are in conversation with a couple of entities from central government through the NAMDEVCO, through the various stakeholders. We are currently in meetings all the time in Trinidad as relates to stakeholders in terms of getting the PPP arrangement work. So we would have met with several people down there in terms of partnering and having the private sector get involved. So I would say that, yes, there can be a greater collaboration from the ministry level. However, we are reaching out to various persons across the island to definitely get some more funding as relates to the partnership, the public-private partnership.
Certainly. Mr. Richard Alfred, Chairman of Tadco, Mr. Deonecio Salazar, the Chief Executive Officer of Tadco. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on AM Prime this morning. I must apologize for having to rush as we conclude, but we are out of time, and I appreciate your time and your efforts in sharing this information with us. Do take care. Keep well.
Thank you.
Right, thanks.